Thank you for coming to hang out with us. This is Gain and Glow, a happy lifestyle podcast with me, Vanessa.
And me, Crystal.
Oh, hey.
Hi. Are you ready for a dope quote?
Let's just start it right off with a dope quote.
All right. Today's dope quote is brought to you by Jamila Jamil, who you might know from The Good Place, the TV show. She also has a podcast called I Weigh, where she talks with a lot of different people about challenging society's definition of worth, like when it comes to like our bodies. So her quote is, "The only diet advice you should take from celebrities is to not take advice from celebrities."
Which is so true. When we found this quote, I was like, okay, so this is not as like introspective as some of our other quotes or metaphorical or whatnot, but I feel like this is a topic that we need to address, and what better way for it to be worded than the only diet advice to take from celebrities is to not take diet advice from celebrities. And the rest of her quote goes on to say, because they don't care. They don't care about your health. And today, actually, we're going to address diet culture in this episode. We're going to do a two-parter. This week's episode, we're going to discuss diet culture and how we find it to be toxic and why we just don't think that it's something that we should perpetuate. And then next week, we'll talk more about realistic applications of tools that can literally be pieced from these toxic diets, but applied realistically for, the marathon of life. So, yeah, I guess we'll just get right into it. I this is like the one episode where I'm like, okay, I'm going to try really hard to not come across as like cynical or like mad, but this is a topic that gets me a little bit like fired up.
Yeah, I think it's been kind of firing me up lately too, because I feel like I'm starting my weight loss journey for the 1,000th time, and it's not because I'm starting something new. It's just because I'm just getting back on the horse, as they say. So I've been listening to podcasts and music and stuff like that to like help keep me motivated right now, and like trying, in trying to, get my fitness game going strong again. And I like to also look at like Reddit forums, like our Lose It, our Progress Pics, stuff like that, where other people are also talking about things that they're doing that helps like either motivate them or success that they had, or even like asking questions for like input on stuff that they're going through, which I think is super great. But lately in one of the forums, it seemed like a lot of people were just kind of stressed out and like kind of self-hating them, like just being negative on themselves, being like, oh, I'm too old and I have so much weight to lose, I don't even think I should try, and like there's no hope for me because I have whatever. And you're just like, our lives aren't over at any, like, your life isn't over if you're 50, like, and I think about it and I'm like, I'm 33 and I'm still kind of working on what good health is for me, but at the same time, like, I'm never gonna stop trying, like, I'm never gonna stop working on myself, because I mean, you can't pour from an empty cup, as they say.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the things that actually gets me fired up about this whole concept of like dieting and stuff, especially right now when we're getting close to summertime. They start laying on the guilt really hard about what actions and what activities you've done in the last few months when it's been cold where most of us do gain a little bit of weight, or we do fall off of our healthy habits into unhealthy habits, which they don't even word it like this. They don't say, hey, have you been picking up some of those unhealthy habits? Well, maybe it's time for us to do some more healthy things. They start being like, did you gain 15 pounds over winter time? Well, guess what? Summer's in 2 months and we expect your hot bod in a bikini. Welcome to losing 15 pounds. And it's like this whole emphasis on that's the goal now. The goal is like you have to lose that weight. But then when women reach a certain age, or when people reach a certain age in general, there's this idea that if you're having trouble losing that 15 pounds, it's like a terminal diagnosis. And then that thought of, is there any hope for me? Is just, I mean, yes, you're fine.
Yeah, like, we're never going to stop having struggles in our life.
No.
Like, there's always ups and downs. There's, like, I saw a post where someone was stressing about 5 pounds. And they're like, it's been 2 weeks and I haven't lost anything. And you're like, but you're trying to lose the last 5 pounds. It should just be about, like, your habits. Like, everything that's gotten you to this point, stick with it. Like, it's been working. Like, it will happen. Like, you just have to, like, be consistent. But, like, with diet culture, it's about, you know, what can you do in 2 weeks or a month? And, like, follow this plan for 30 days. And, like, do not deviate from the plan, or else you won't have success. Which also isn't true. I've done stuff for a week and lost weight and then stopped doing it. And then it's like, oh, yeah, I can stop doing it, maintain the weight, or I can stop doing it and I can, like, you know, start, you know, cramming food in my face and, like, stop working out and, like, gain it back. But it's, like, with this kind of culture where it's, like, there's always an ad. There's always an ad, too, that you're just not even thinking. There's always an ad of someone looking perfect and trying to give you a skinny tea and saying that this is the thing that's going to change your life. And it's like, just like saying apple cider vinegar is going to change your life. Lemon water is going to change your life. All those little things, like, skinny tea, don't do it. Okay, first of all. And then things like lemon water and apple cider vinegar, it's like, yeah, that's maybe a part of it. That's like one time, like, that's like not even 1/100th of your daily choices. And it's like, it's an adding up a multitude of choices every day. And you have a choice all day long. So that's like what's so hard. So I think that's what's attractive about following a plan, is that it's laid out for you. But if you weren't really aware of the choices you were making before you started this plan, you're not going to realize how, like, restrictive you're being to yourself. And then you're going to automatically feel bad about yourself because you can't maintain this restriction. Where I think ideally you would track, like, your, like, daily expenditure? Is, like, how many calories your body burns in a day naturally, like, just through its processes. And then, you know, you subtract calories from there. You don't just go, oh, I'm just gonna cut to 1,200 calories and I'm gonna do hour-long workouts every day and I'm gonna hit that goal. It's like, you're gonna burn yourself out so hard. And then you're gonna feel bad about yourself that you couldn't maintain it.
And that's one of those things that I feel like so many people are almost tricked into being stuck in, is this idea that, okay, the next 30 days, we're going to do, like you said, we're going to cut it down to 1,200 calories. We're going to do hour-long workouts every single day. We're going to hit it hard next 30 days. They put this time frame on it, and it's because it's marketable. It is marketable. And this doesn't fare well for us, but I mean, everything we put out, we have to think about things like that. So I know for a fact they put these time frames because it's easily marketable, because they can tell you, we took the guesswork out of it. You don't have to try to figure out what to do for the next 30 days. We'll tell you exactly what to do. The problem with that is that they don't follow it up with a disclaimer that says, however, there's a good chance you will not be able to continue this momentum past those 30 days. So that's where the real work starts. lose the weight, but now you have to, after the fact, address why did you have an issue with your weight and eating before? Because this plan can tell you exactly what you should do, but when we're all really being honest with ourselves, we know that restricting calories and working out more is going to make you lose weight, because the number one thing that causes weight loss is a calorie deficit. Best way to get a calorie deficit is to expel more than you're putting in. It's science. We all know this. What we don't all know is how to lose it, keep it off, and address why we had that problem in the first place. And that's where this diet culture turns toxic, is it moves away from health and more into weight. And like you said, it's like you can do all of these things, but just that skinny tea isn't doing it. What's actually happening is what we all know is going to happen. They are going to push you to restrict your diet and work out more and create a calorie deficit. The skinny tea is just marketable. It's literally just the product that they get. It's like, and I'm not trying to sound crazy, but it's like having a front store for drug dealers. Like, they literally put the skinny tea is the front, and the drug is the money they're going to make on getting you stuck in a circle. Because in 30 days, you're going to need them again when it's time to restart. It's not long term.
And it's funny because with stuff like that, you don't really even think about the habits that you're implementing when you choose to drink a skinny tea. Because I'm sure there's a diet that goes along with it. But they probably tell you, like, don't have your coffee in the morning because you have to drink the skinny tea, which is filled with caffeine. So you're going to hurt yourself if you drink coffee and drink this tea. And then literally by drinking tea instead of like a latte, you're saving like 200 calories right there. So yeah, it's helping you cut calories. But then when it tells you to have a salad for lunch and then like maybe protein, veggie, starch dinner, you're still drastically cutting your calories than, than if you just decided to like cut calories on your own. So they may market it to you like it's the thing that solves your problem, but they also want you to change like how you're eating too. But they try to like not say that. Like I know like with it's I did like one of the first diets I did was the Slim Fast diet. And it was before they had all the exciting different kinds of treats. It was just the shakes. And I remember buying like a tub of powder, and I used to be a really big milk drinker. I'm not anymore. And so I would mix it with milk, and I swear it tasted like chocolate milk. Like, I was like, oh, I could drink this. Like, I could do this. And and what else does it want you to do? It wants you to replace, it wants you to have a shake and then also replace a meal with a shake. So even if that shake, I have to look it up how much sugar was in those Slim Fast shakes. But, because I don't think it was very healthy either. So it's like they want you to have 2 shakes a day, but they also want one of your meals to be replaced by a shake. And it's like, well, yeah, you're drastically cutting calories. And then they recommend to you, like if you ever buy the cereal Special K, they sold that cereal so hard as a weight loss cereal. And you're just like, it's cereal. Cereal on its own is not even a meal. It's like a snack. Like, it's a couple hundred calories, and it's not satisfying. I know that.
And it's mostly
I've had
like
cereal. It's just, it's just
like carbs and sugar. It's like carbs and sugar most of the time.
With some added fiber, added vitamins, because otherwise it wouldn't be there. And and so like I remember I always had cereal for breakfast. Like as a teenager, I was like, I'm gonna lose weight by having cereal for breakfast because it's not that much, and it's so easy. And by the time I get to school, I'm hungry because it's just carbs and sugar, and it just spiked my energy, and then it just dropped away, and then my stomach was like, you didn't really give me any nutrition. So yeah, I failed on Slim Fast. I also did South Beach Diet, which they really they market that really well too, because I think that came out around the time that Atkins was really popular. So Atkins was like, you can have all the bacon that you want, your sweet dreams, sweet bacon dreams, sausage, meat and cheese, stuff like that. I think it's, like basically like keto, but, and then, South Beach was like, well, just eat this kind of Mediterranean style, and you can lose like 7 to 14 pounds in 14 days. And you're like, who doesn't want to do that? Well, it's super restrictive. It's like you go from eating whatever you're eating right now to just like, very vegetable and protein and like not a lot of carb. You're going to feel the hunger. So it never, like, I think that was probably one of the only books that I saw that actually told you, well, that and Whole30, that actually tell you to kind of prep yourself before you start those diets by like taking stuff out of your diet so that your body doesn't have such a hard time adjusting to it. Which I think is something we don't like to do. We go, oh my gosh, I've been eating and drinking so much lately. I'm just going to jump on this plan and I'm going to fix myself. And it's like, you're going to feel like sugar honey iced tea.
Yeah, exactly. And these like fad diets, they are just new creations of the same concepts without the proper education and warning about that health aspect of it. Like you said, like all of these, they tell you like, oh, you can jump right into this plan and change your life. But if you're not prepared to eat that way and you're not prepared to live that lifestyle, there's a chance that A, it's not going to work, or B, it could, set you up to fail long term. But then there's that other chance that you could be jumping into an extreme diet change that may negatively affect your actual health. Sometimes losing 10 pounds in a week, in 2 weeks, sometimes losing that 15 pounds in 15 days is not good for you. Sometimes eating an extremely fatty, low-carb diet might not be good if you have cholesterol issues. Living on lean cuisines, admittedly like I do sometimes, isn't good if you have issues with your sodium levels, because those things are riddled with sodium. And I eat them, I'm going to admit, I eat them a lot as like an easy, like, okay, I don't have to count the calories. I know, but on those days, I have to be mindful of my sodium, because sodium has nothing, well, actually, it contributes to your weight, but it has nothing to do with my weight loss goal. It has everything to do with the fact that I don't want to put so much sodium in my body, because my body can't function with that much. So these diets and these health foods and these marketable products and these marketable plans aren't even talking about how every single one of us as an individual person cannot just blanket apply the same techniques and expect to live healthy lives. Yes, if you put any single person into a calorie deficit, they will lose weight. That doesn't mean that they will be healthy. We don't know. You don't know. You don't know what somebody's got going on. You can't sit and tell somebody, I did the Whole30, I lost all this weight. Yes, I gained it back, but it's because but you should try. Like, we can't tell somebody that unless we fully know their life. And diet culture and celebrities don't care about that. They don't care.
It's so funny because you see a Kardashian holding a Slim Tea and you laugh because that's not how they got to where they got, but then they know that like they're just marketing it to you just like the clothes that they wear. They're just marketing machines. And so it's so funny to be like, oh, look at me by the pool and I'm so skinny because I'm all skinny too. And you're like, okay, yeah, sure. It's not your nutrition or, all the workouts you do or
exactly
like
your
that.
Personal trainer, your access to a gym 24/7, freedom in your schedule, financial stability, relieving a ton of stress. Like, there's so many aspects to weight and health. Like, we've talked about it, stress, cortisol levels in the brain. Like, there's certain stressors that people of a certain income level will experience that people of a different income level will not. That is dramatically differing the playing fields. So they have to follow different health plans.
Yeah, you know what's funny? I was looking at all these motivational videos on YouTube, and somehow I came across an interview with a guy who's the motivational type person, and then he was interviewing a personal trainer who is inspirational for his own thing. But that personal trainer said he used to train Kim Kardashian, and she would drive an hour and a half to meet him on the days that, like, he was, like, in his studio and couldn't, like, go to her. She prioritized that in her schedule to do that, to be with him specifically, to, like, help her get to where she wants to go. Like, that's stuff you don't see them doing. You just see them, like, with their clothes in front of, you know, a mirror. They're just out in front of a pool. They're just like, you know, I'm naturally this way. It's like, you don't see all the work that goes behind making a commercial. Like, you know? So, like, this is, like, heavily like, all of this stuff is heavily marketed. The diet industry in the U.S. alone makes $70 billion a year.
Mm-hmm. Which means they don't want you to succeed. If you succeed in living a lifestyle that provides you longevity and health, then they don't continue to make money off of you. So the only way to continue to make money off of you is to create a cyclical pattern that you become adapted to that is to their benefit. And now, I say this though with the idea, like, there's a ton of good things in certain diets. There are good things in certain diets.
Before you go there, I Googled how much sugar was in that Slim Fast shake.
Yes.
So the tub has 11 grams of sugar, which you can get as much in a granola bar. So you're like, oh, okay, that's okay. I used to mix it with milk, which also has 12 grams of sugar. So I was having 23 grams of sugar first thing in the morning, and a woman's daily allotment, which I don't know that I've ever been close to this, is 25 grams. And they want you to have 2 shakes a day. And that's not even the other stuff I'm eating.
Yeah. I'm curious, how much protein did they have in them?
The 10 grams.
Okay. So, this is the thing. This is why I say there's certain good things in diets. Because when I dieted really, really hard to lose a bunch of weight before the pandemic, when I first started kickboxing, I dieted very hard and I kickboxed very hard to try to lose weight. Like, that was the goal. So I restricted my calories and I increased my cardio. Well, they started teaching me a lot about the idea of the diet and fueling your body, and you know, they were more transparent with, we're restricting your calories and increasing your exercise, so of course you're going to lose weight. It's all up to you how much you want to, you know, toggle that with your life. And they said the number one mistake that people make is replacing their meals with shakes, because most of these shakes, the recommended stats on a shake should have 2 grams of sugar maximum, preferably less, and at the very least 20 grams of protein. Otherwise, you don't have the protein to keep you full or to help with muscle building, and your body will start to consume its own muscle if it doesn't have the proper amount of protein, or you can't repair as easily. And if you have too much sugar, you're going to cause an insulin spike, which will actually trigger weight retention in certain people, or could cause diabetics, a very serious issue. And they said that these shakes, like Slim Fast, like, what's the one that they do with the colored containers? What are those shakes? The Nutrisystems or whatever? Oh gosh, they're everywhere. They're all over Pinterest. Oh my gosh. I probably shouldn't even say the name anyways. I don't know if I won't even, you know what, I'm not even going to try, because I don't know if somebody could get mad at us. But these dietary replacement meal shakes, that my kickboxing gym taught me, they're like, these are actually terrible for you. Those Slim Fast ones, like you said, that's putting you over your sugar limit on just the 2 shakes, not counting how much sugar is probably in that cereal that you eat, not counting how much sugar is probably in the other 2 meals of the day, or any snacks. They don't care about your health. If they cared about your health, they'd fill you up with protein to keep you full the whole day and not spike your insulin levels with a crazy ton of sugar, which, don't even get me started on how sugar is an addictive substance, and they will tease you with sugar to get you hooked on cravings, and then you're in a whole craving cycle.
Yeah, and I do that good enough on my own. Like I remember the first time I didn't feel a sugar craving, and I wouldn't stop talking about it to my husband. And he was like, yeah, okay, yeah. And I'm just like, you don't understand. Like, I always want something at 3 p.m. I always have a snack. I always had dessert. Like, I always had stuff. And when I took it back, I felt like, oh, I'm taking stuff away from me. But it was like, once I took that stuff away, I took away the cravings. And then it was like, I can enjoy something that I want and not feel the need to, like, have more of it. And yeah, it's so funny because, like, sugar is in everything. Like, part of it is a preservative. So it's like, it's in the bread. Like, it's stuff you don't even think has sugar. And so it's, it all adds up. And I used to, when I did the whole Slim Fast thing, I think I was just out of high school. So it was like, you know, first diet experience. And it was, felt shaky. I felt shaky after drinking my morning shake. And it's like, well, no wonder. Like, you just put a bunch of sugar in your body first thing in the morning. Like, poo. But it was like I didn't even realize it till later on. I think it was my junior year of high school. I was like, oh, I want to lose a little bit of weight. I feel a little chubby, whatever. That summer, all I did was, like, I read more. I ran up and down my hill once a day, which isn't a whole lot. It wasn't a mile. I read a whole bunch, and then I made my own food. Like, I was like, okay, I have my cereal. I have my chips and my sandwich, and then my dad would make dinner. And, like, just from not all the eating and snacking and stuff that I would do in school, I lost weight. And it wasn't until later that I realized that, oh, I naturally just kind of restricted some of the crap I was eating, and I moved a little bit more. And even though it's really simple, it's like we all have different things going on, like physical, mental conditions, and, you know, like, we're all different. So it's hard for people. I think people get really disappointed when a plan doesn't work out for them because they feel like it should work for them. These, you know, whoever made these plans said this should work for you and you'll lose within this range. And if you can't stick to it, you feel like you failed something that's been proven. But you have to do what works best for you. And that's over, like, trial and error. That's like, you know, going I remember I went through Whole30, and they tell you not to count calories because you're supposed to focus on eating whole foods, and you're not supposed to try to make anything fun out of the ingredients that you're allowed to have. And so some people would look at it going, well, that's really restrictive. And it's like, well, yeah, it is. But also, if you focus on what you do have, there's a lot more combinations you can make than, like, if you focus on what you don't have. You know? And so it really, like, was a mindset thing for me. But when I did it, I was like, well, I didn't need to count calories. Like, I have to. Like, there's no way I'm going to lose weight at, like, not counting calories. Well, my body needed to adjust to the whole plan to begin with, which also, like, taking sugar out of your diet also gives you headaches. So, so going from, like, having processed foods to absolutely no processed foods was... it's not something I should have done. I should have gradually, like, weaned myself off. But then I wasn't eating enough because I was so worried that I was going to eat too much that I wasn't eating enough and I wasn't feeling good. And so then I actually logged the calories to see where I was at, and I saw I wasn't eating enough. Because but it's like, you don't know that. You won't know that for yourself until you, like, actually take some metrics of what you're putting yourself through. And you think that you follow a plan that it's just going to be perfect for you, and it's not the case.
And that's exactly why that's, like, all of these diets and all of these concepts and ideas and books and topics, like, if you close your eyes and throw a dart, you're gonna find a diet. Somewhere someone is gonna tell you what they think you should do to look the way they, you know, whatever. The thing about it is and this is what we'll talk about in next week's episode, is how you take all of that and then you assess how it applies to your life. Like you said, you know, where does this fit? Am I eating too much? Am I not eating enough? These are questions that we should be asking. We should not blindly follow when we see these diets and guides. We should be asking, okay, what in this seems realistic for me, and how can I put that into practice? And I'm excited to talk about that next week, because I feel like you and I, like you said, we literally figured that out by failing. And I trust you way more if you have failed a few times and then found success than if you tell me you were successful right off the bat. And so, you know, we won't get too much into it. But next week, definitely tune in and we'll talk more about how to take all of this information, download it, and then actually figure out what does that mean for you and how can you be realistic with it, you know? Yeah. That's all I've got.
Thanks so much for listening, and we hope you tune in to part 2 next week.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you find your podcast to stay up to date with our new episodes every Wednesday.
Also, head on over and follow us on Facebook and Instagram and say hello while you're there. And don't forget to drink some water, take a deep breath. You've got this.